Howdy, how's everyone doing today? Hope it's good. And if it's not, well, at least you're on this side of the dirt, and that's what matters most. So you just take the day as it goes. So I had this thought about what I was going to be talking about today, and I was planning for this whole one idea, which now I'm gonna have to push off because I had this other idea and this other thought and analogy about seeds and people and how we're the same. So my thing is that I'm wanting to talk about is how people are like seeds, and I'm like, okay. So when I'm thinking about that, people as seeds, I was doing microgreens for a couple of years. And so when I was working with those every single day, and I could see their very minuscule but 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 progress every single day, a little bit of a change, teeny tiny changes every single day. But then after a few days, much less a week, it was drastic changes for just one little seed. So I was thinking about it, and my thought process, my analogy, if you will, follow me along with this, is that as people we're like seeds, right? Because we're body, we're soul, we're spirit, right? God gave us a spirit, whether we give that to the Father or whether we give that to an unclean spirit, that's your own prerogative and your own path that you have to walk and you have to figure out. And then we're our soul is who we are, our mind, our mentality, our strength, mental toughness, our mental strength, our, who we are, what we say, what we tell ourselves, what we believe who we are, etc. And then there's our flesh. It's our outward appearance, which can change because you can take care of it and look really well, or you can not and look like crap. In other words, you can be fit and healthy, feel better, look better, and be more desirable by more people. No one's going to say no to that. Or you can be not take care of yourself and be fat, lazy, weak, unknowledgeable, uneducated. People don't want to spend time next to you because you're anxious, depressed, blah, 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 blah. And it's probably a dickish way of saying it, but that's kind of what I do. I just say it straightforward and might not be nice. Actually, I hope it's not nice, but it is truthful and it is the honest, the honest opinion. I can only give from all the experience and all the of what I see. Now, it's not to say that people can't be good or genuine or real or something positive about them whenever they're in one area or the other, because I know a lot of great people who are overweight and who just live unhealthy lifestyles, but they're good people. Not as good as they could be, but they're really good people. And I know people who are fit who are absolute pieces of crap. So it, there's there are both sides. But if you can be a really great person and take care of yourself and feel better, look better, and feel more accomplished because you are more accomplished, then why not do that? So, with that thought process, people as being a seed. Inside the seed, again, I'm not going into some deep horticulture stuff here, but just very basic. We have a seed. We look at it. It's a shell that's on the outside. The seed that's on the inside, that's kind of who we are, our soul, our mind. The shell on the outside is kind of like our flesh. The seed, if it has to be put in, it has to be going in some dirt. It's going to need some water. And more importantly, well, I mean, it needs all of it, but even if you have those two, nothing good's going to come from it because it needs pressure. It needs a hard external force pushing against it to make that seed to get activated. The seed that's inside the shell, so our soul that's inside of our body, or yeah, inside of our body, our flesh, our weakness, as I look at it, because if we give into the flesh, it's weakness. We give into the soul because we focus on the soul being of what the spirit is, of what we're wanting the spirit to accomplish and to be guided by in the spirit, then that's when we can find our strength. But when we give into the flesh, it's the opposite. So when we allow the flesh to overcome us, then we're gonna do, we're not always gonna make the best choices. You know that if you've ever been to a bar or just done any number of dumb things in your life, of letting an addiction or some type of vice to overpower you, and you gave into it because you might have gotten a nice feeling, but it didn't help you out in the long run. So to get that pressure, that is kind of going to be if you will, the spiritual tests, the trials, the tribulations, the obstacles, the things that challenge us to break free from our shell. So, I mean, we're always going to have our flesh, and it's always going to want things that are, at times going to be bad or wrong, and you can give into it in the wrong way. We're always going to be dealing with that because we still have this flesh, but we can choose to not allow it to overcome us and to overpower us and to give into temptation, that weakness, that lust, that whatever it is, XYZ, put a label on it. So whenever a seed goes, it's in dirt, it's got some water on it, it gets pressure put on top of it, right? I would get a tray, put some dirt on it, sprinkle some seeds on there ever so gently, of course, and spread out. Hit it with a little couple sprays of water to give it some water to activate it and to get it to break free. And then I had to put a tray on top of it and put weight on top of that tray so it hit all of it evenly. You know, day later, maybe you get a few starting to sprout, but after 2, 3 days, they're all sprouting. That you see something that went from a straight seed to now trying to break free of where it was, and it's trying to take its roots to go down into the dirt to get structure, and then also the plant is coming up so that its fruit can be so it can bear its fruit. It's grown, so it's grown in both directions. So when I'm thinking about this, of how we live our life as a seed, as a person, we are going to we're going to be inside of our shell, our flesh, for for us, our soul, our mind, for who we are and who we're called to be in life, with God and just and a friend, a family, a coworker, or whatever it is, to be our best self and to become and to get to the calling that we have been given, because we've all been given one. To be able to get there, we have to break free from our shell, our flesh, which is going to hold us back because we want comfort. Everyone wants comfort, you and I. But if we allow that to overtake, you know, to overtake the what we're doing, because what you do in life is gonna be uncomfortable at times, if not most of the time. And it's very easy to go, I don't want to deal with any of that. I don't want to deal with those responsibilities. I don't want to deal with that pressure. I don't want to deal with work. I don't want to deal with family. I'm just gonna turn my phone off and go fishing or something. And it's easy to do that. It's nice, and that sounds really relaxing, which it is. But you can't always do that. So sometimes you still got to face that pressure to grow. Because for the seed, if it doesn't have that external force pushing on it, then the seed will not grow. It won't be growing up to push against, the tray and the weight pushing it down, and its roots won't be able to go down to gain its base. It won't be able to spread out its roots to gain a sturdy structure, right? Our foundation of life. Foundation needs to be on Christ, just like the parables say of but yeah, in the Gospels, they talk about having a solid foundation, because, if you have a solid foundation, great, you can blow away a house, in a storm, but the foundation's there. You can rebuild the house. But if you build it on sand, well, then it's going to all fall apart and then you're going to be completely lost. So, for being able to have the seed grow, for allowing ourselves to grow, we have to have an external force. So, our roots are growing down, we're learning more, we're growing more, and knowing who we are and our walk with God, and knowing what our place is in society, of participating in society and not just being, mindless, empty, and just like playing on our phones, playing games, watching TV, just being consumers of life. How can we provide other things and more? How can we actually be a part of society and not just a consumer? And so with that thought process, again, follow me. So I know I'm all over the place, but that was just kind of my thought process this afternoon, really, of how it is that we are like seeds, and how to grow we have to go through those trials, tribulations, sufferings, problems, hard times. We have to go through that to be able to grow. And then guess what? When you grow and you go through enough of those little ones, they build and grow and compound effect. And eventually, what was so hard yesterday, you've been through enough times that now you're like, that's such a simple, easy problem. Just think of a basic math problem. Like when you were a kid, you didn't know, oh my God, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. I don't know how to do it. Now you've been doing it for years and decades. And you're like, yeah, I know that immediately, fast. I know how to answer this. I know how to figure out the answer to that question. It's so much faster and simpler the more you go through it. Same thing with everything else in life that's hard, that's going to test you and challenge you, in your life, with work, with your walk with God, with just relationships in general, friendships, you know, all of it. It's going to come through those hard times, and to be able to grow into being the stick with this analogy, to become the beautiful flower and to produce all the amazing fruit that you are capable of producing, you have to go through that initial breaking out of your shell. So you have to have those hard times to grow, and you have to break out of that shell. The seed that's inside the shell has to break open so that you can start to grow. And very simple analogy. I'm not sure how much more I can uh how much I can Barney style it, really. But it's just that idea of, how do we need to apply this in our life? And we have to apply it to everything. You're gonna take these challenges and trials, and you're gonna come across hard things, and it's only going to be building you. Or you can allow it to overpower you, and you can go, all right, I couldn't figure this out. All right, I'm done. This job's hard. I'm just gonna quit and go find something else. Oh, this relationship's not working because it's not like the fairy tale crap that we were told growing up. So just because we have a disagreement, we're gonna break up and we're gonna go somewhere else, and I'm just gonna go find someone new and start over again. That's the dating scene that's been created in this crazy world now. So it's knowing that we have to go through these hard times, like no matter how hard it is, we have to go through it to push us and to challenge us to becoming the best that we can be. Because you just don't get hit with all this experience and knowledge and wisdom and information. Like, you don't just get all this stuff. You have to go through life and the process of learning and growing through pain, through trials, through suffering. That's how you grow. In everything you do, you go to the gym, you cannot gain muscle. You cannot become better and stronger, healthier, fitter. You can't become anything better if you do not allow your muscles to grow. If the muscles don't grow, or if you don't, they grow because you push a bunch of blood into that muscle, and then it's tiring, it's exhausting, yeah, it's not a picnic. It's meant to be hard because you're pushing yourself physically, which means you're pushing yourself mentally. When you do that, then you can learn to apply those things into your everyday life of every other category. Like that's what I did. I learned about working out, and I learned about pushing myself physically. Then I started pushing myself mentally, and then I was able to apply that to other areas of my life. And I went, well, I know it takes time. I'm not going to see results overnight or in a day or a week or even a month. It's going to be months and years of and of constantly, consistently working on this thing to be able to see the growth. And I was able to take that mindset and apply it everywhere. So it's like, okay, I'm not gonna be benching 2, 3 plates overnight. Maybe not in a year. So it's got to be years, and I have to be consistent with it. And I have to keep working on it. I'm not gonna just know how to, I'm not gonna be able to know how to read everybody because I need to learn how to talk and learn about people and learn about psychology, body language, tone of voice. Like, there's so much to learn about life that you have to go through it to learn it. So anyways, all those random rabbit holes that I don't know, I started chasing all the shiny things that are coming around. All that is to say that it takes time, and it does take suffering. It does take pain. And because if you don't have the pain, then the good times, the fun times, the simpler times, it doesn't mean as much because you didn't do anything to get there, and so it just doesn't have the same impact. So like there's this one, Michael John Bobak, he says like all progress takes place outside the comfort zone. Let's see, I got a few like from Seneca, yeah, really good one. Um, okay, let's go with that. So no man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. So that one's from Seneca. So I mean, it gives you that idea of that, you have to prove yourself, uh, and then when you prove yourself to yourself, that you're like, okay, I went through this and I overcame it. I didn't let this thing break me. I pushed through and I overcame, because anyone can overcome anything. But are you willing to do it? Because that's the question. Are you willing to go through? Because you have to go through the pain and suffering and the hardship. Like that's it's as simple as that. But it's hard, but it's simple. Seneca also has one that says, to conquer pain is to possess it. Possess it. Welcome hardship as the cost of strength. So it's things like that that I like to think about with taking on life and the challenges that come with it. And trust me, there's quite a few more new challenges in my life right now, and it's getting at me, and it sucks, but I just stick with this I wanted this thing, I asked for this thing, I prayed for this thing, I've worked for this thing. It's gonna come with hard trials and it's gonna be painful. Um, but eventually, it's gonna get easier. Eventually, you know, uh, the progress will show. Eventually, the fruit will be produced. Eventually, the growth will happen. So now this new thing is not hard at all. Like it's so easy. It's like the back of my hand. It's like memorizing basic algebra. It just takes time. Eventually, it'll get to the point from being so hard now to being easier down the road. So, anyways, millions of thoughts going on in my head. I was trying to cram them in as tight as I could, and that was the best I was able to get. So, anyways, hope I was able to give you guys some kind of perspective, some kind of I don't know guidance or just a new way of thinking about things. So, anyways, hope that was able to help. Love you guys. See y'all next week. Be blessed.